What would be the top priorities for someone between that 35 to 45? What are those specific healthy habits that we need to invest in that are non-negotiables?
With the experience of age and working this long, your top priority is to figure out how to sleep through the night. Because secondarily, if I tell you to go build muscle mass and to work on your VO2 max, which we can talk about all those things, if you're exhausted, if you are not aware of your circadian rhythm and when you should be going to sleep and when you're waking up, you will not have the energy or the brain power to do the secondary things, which number 2 is mobility. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. It's top of mind for me, where everybody's talking about it now. We're to build lean muscle mass. But what people forget about is this is prime time in both men and women's lives to build your bone. We top out at bone density around 30, right? So what does that mean? Well, we need the thickest, strongest bones because we literally do live off that for the rest of our lives. Now, we can get into this, but you can build bone back, but you need the best bones. And that's what I would focus on, muscle and bone. And then finally, everybody needs to not treat their bodies like a garbage can. We are not a trash disposal. Everything can't go in. This is a temple. This is a meticulously designed machine. And just like we would take care of the machines of our cars by what we put in it, many people don't think of their bodies in the same way.
Yeah, so well said and so simply put. I deeply appreciate how practical and thoughtful they are. Let's dive into each one of them. Is there something that happens in our 35 to 45 and onward range that our sleep starts to become less consistent?
Well, particularly for women, 40 to 45 becomes a critical time that they might not even be aware of. Because what we know, and you've probably heard of this before, I've heard it on your podcast, women are born with the amount of eggs that we're ever going to have at birth. It's a miracle, right? And we slowly use those such that at age 40, we only have 1% left. Well, it's our eggs that make our estrogen. So as our total number of eggs declines, so does our estrogen. And that's about the time when women go from this normal cyclic pattern of hormones up and down to haywire. And that's when we don't build muscle as well. We don't build bone as well. But our sleep becomes disturbed because our circadian rhythm is off. And so it is not uncommon for women in their 40s. And this is such a common time. We're all waking up at 3:37 in the morning, not only because our sugar is dipping and our bodies are waking us up to save our lives, but because of the hormonal fluctuations. So sleep becomes really difficult. But think about in our early 40s, because many women have chosen to put off childbearing, they may have just come off of the time when their children are up all night, and now they're plagued by not being able to sleep. So because your body, it's a dramatic change, and that affects sleep cycles and everything. So that's why sleep in our 40s becomes more difficult.
That is fascinating. I don't think I've ever heard both those explanations for it in that way. So what do we do about it? Because I know so many people, so many friends that are going through exactly what you're saying. Their sleep has started to decline. They wake up more often in the middle of the night. They find it harder to go back to sleep. What changes do they need to make? Because if sleep is the pillar of everything that we're about to talk about, I think it's really important that we help people figure that out.
I totally agree with you, because there was a time in my life when I didn't sleep in graduate school, and then I had a baby, and then I was in residency, and it frightens me how much sleep I lost, because we know now it's so critical for longevity in biology. But the things I'm about to say to you are not rocket science, and yet I find they're hard for people to get in a habit of doing. Science shows us we must go to bed and wake up at the same time to set our daily clock. You know, during the night, we build up a protein called adenosine. We wake up and it's at our highest. We try to see the sun unless it's the dead of winter and to start our day. But if we have uneven sleep schedules, then that clock is off. So protecting your go to bed time and protecting your waking up time. So for instance, I live on the East Coast. We're on the West Coast. I have stayed on East Coast time.
Mm-hmm.
And
that happens to me when I come the
do
other way.
Do you do that?
Yes.
Yes. And then you're not exhausted or jet lagged. It's a little weird if you have to do business or go out, but if I'm having a party at my house, I'm like, see yourselves out, guys. You have fun. I'm going to bed. It's 9:30. So for our house, it's 9:30 to 5, like clockwork. Number one. Number two, I am not a holder to intermittent fasting, but what I am a holder to is time restricted, meaning I'm going to eat as early as possible so that by 9:30, everything is out of my digestive system. I'm spending no energy, and that helps us sleep better. Mm-hmm. Number three, I always say, don't throw rocks at me. But in midlife, especially for midlife women, alcohol is a total sleep disruptor. Because when we're young, we think, oh, of course, it makes me sleep better. What it does is it makes us pass out. But if you're tracking your sleep, you'll see that you're not entering into the really deep sleep levels. And this is being talked about a lot lately, except I don't see people adjusting to it. I mean, when I find that when I work with my longevity patients, they're willing to do almost anything except give up the glass or 2 or 4 of wine at dinner because it's so cultural. It's so almost like a ritual. And people come to believe that they need that to relax when in fact it inhibits their sleep. So timing of sleep, we talked about not eating 3 hours. We've talked about alcohol. And then, something that's very helpful is I take my magnesium, which is a supplement that I think most people need, especially for bones, at night. I also suggest that women, if they're taking progesterone, take it at night. And then all the other lifestyle things, blue glasses, turn off your phones, which I find hard to do personally, but those are all legitimate ways to help regulate. And then as things as silly as if you find you're waking up at 3:37 every morning like clockwork, you know what the clock is going to say. That may be your blood sugar. And I know it's my blood sugar because I often wear a continuous glucose monitor. So if you eat a little bit of protein right before bed, just a titch, not a meal, not enough to disrupt this other advice I've given you, that will make your sugar not dip so low.
Wow.
And your liver will not, and your body will not wake you up because your body wakes you up. I know because I wear a CGM, when I wake up that way, my blood sugar is 50 or 40 and my body's just trying to save my life.
And what do you want it to be when you wake up?
Well, fasting blood glucose should be 85 or lower. That is the level that we should all strive for. Not 100, not 110, which many people walk around with in midlife. 85. If we do not want to be a burden to other people, then we must take care of ourselves. We can maintain our bone density into our 80s. How do we do it? I want to dispel a myth right now that is so common in the population. There is no evidence.
When we're talking about people struggling with falling asleep and waking up at the same time, you're a mother.
I am.
We were talking about your wonderful daughter earlier and other children. And when you look at that and you look at that time in your life when you were staying up and taking care of your kids and having erratic wake up and sleep times, how do you get that back? Can you get that back? Or is that just a period that you write off and accept that
I lost that sleep? I don't believe there's any research that shows that I can restock 11 years of not sleeping, but my obligation to myself now is to start today. We can reverse the hands of time by the lifestyle we do today. I can become biologically younger, but I don't honestly think that I can get back 11 years of sleep. But if we continue in those habits, we just perpetuate the badness, right?
What can we do during those years for the women that are listening, the parents that are listening? What can you do during those years where that piece of advice is going to be impossible to follow naturally? What can they do to cushion that impact?
Well, and this is so pertinent. I lived through it. I have daughters who are having children now. Simple things like children can be scheduled. They will learn to go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. Not newborn infants, but once they get big enough, about 3 months, 6 months, depending how big they are, they can learn a schedule. So let's schedule them. They might wake up in the middle of the night. It always happens. But if there's no schedule, children feel a little insecure and will wake up more. So that's number one. Number two, give yourself the grace. I want to talk to all young parents. Give yourself the grace that when your child goes down for a nap, young children less than 3 years old usually have 2 naps a day. Give yourself the grace that the minute they go to sleep, you don't have to go clean the house or get on email and lay down and sleep too. Just collect sleep, right? And then all the other habits, if you may feel like you need a glass of wine to relax, that's just going to disrupt your sleep more. So those are simple things. I think the biggest thing that I just said is young parents, please give yourselves the grace.